Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Order.
Item 1, Retirement and Re-employment Amendment Bill, second reading.
Ms. Janet Ang.
Let me start with a quote by Pope Francis. Work is a necessity, part of the meaning of life on this earth, a path to growth, human development, and personal fulfillment. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the privilege to join in the debate on the subject of retirement and re-employment. Singapore is faced with an increasingly tight labour market due to the rapidly aging population. This, coupled with a shrinking working age population caused by Singapore's declining fertility trend, which hit a low of 1.1 resident TFR in 2020, will further exacerbate our tight labour market situation. Hence, keeping seniors in the workforce for as long as they are willing and able will help ease the manpower situation somewhat. Life expectancies have risen to such levels that many people think that they don't have sufficient savings to meet post-retirement living and healthcare expenses, and therefore want the option to work for longer so as to improve their financial adequacy for retirement. I support the raising of the statutory retirement age and re-employment age, and that our senior workers have the option to stay employed longer if they so choose. Legislation will help to ensure consistent, fair treatment of senior workers by all employers and deter possible senior worker abuse. Equally, if not more important than the legislation, are the structural changes needed at the workplace, the support needed to help mature workers to better prepare for retirement, in addition to the all-important CPF adequacy and MediShield Life, and above all, the need for mindset change on everyone's part. Whilst there is general support by both retired and retiring seniors, as well as by companies, some of the key questions linger in their minds include: seniors will be thinking, will there be a change in the CPF withdrawal age resulting from this amendment? Well, everyone should be quite glad to hear Minister confirm that the CPF withdrawal date, which incidentally is a sacred cow, sacred milestone not to be touched, that Minister has confirmed that there will be no change. Another question is that if they are re-employed to do the same job, will they get the same compensation? And how can seniors, even the so-called retired ones, continue to contribute their experience and skills in building and strengthening Singapore? As for employers, some of the questions they have in their minds may include: how will this impact the cost of doing business? Will senior workers be able to pick up the skills and competencies needed for today's competitive market? Will they be able to cope with digital disruptions? How do I implement succession planning without being misconstrued as ageism attitude? And with millennials in search for meaningful roles, should seniors not be making way for them? Well, all these are very good questions, and many of the members in this House have already touched on quite a few of them. Now, for me, I am part of the retired cohort. I consider myself very blessed to be reasonably prepared for my second half. When I was in my 40s, I was recommended the book Half Time by Bob Buford, and that got me thinking. Before I turned 50, I attended Senegal Sisters, Sister Linda Lizarda's retreat on midlife transition, and that started me planning and praying. And finally, at 60, I said yes to retirement. I have been preparing myself for a meaningful and purposeful life beyond the IBM employee pass, which I carried for 33 years. Admittedly, however, it was still a moment of truth to be reckoned with when the day actually came. So for the many who were less prepared than I, and for some who were even caught by surprise, I empathize with them. I would dare say that most in my generation are generally ill-prepared and can't quite cope with the drastic physical and physiological change at the point of retirement. We are the baby boomer generation with strong work ethic, and most have given their all to their jobs and growing Singapore's economy. So transitioning from active employment to retirement for many is like dropping off a cliff. And this experience often leaves the individuals frustrated. There is a need, therefore, for companies and the community supported by the government and civil society to better prepare our senior workers for what I will call the shoulder season. Apparently, this is a travel industry term indicating the time between the high and